Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start this line of questioning off with just a little of my background. I was in the military myself, a former service member, and I still have a lot of friends in the military that are running around some of the worst parts of the world. I want them to have the best gear possible. I want our military to be strong, but I do struggle with the Defense Department and their complete lack of ability to pass an audit or be financial responsible in any way. Ms. Oakley, you come from GAO, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What does that stand for, ma'am?
Government Accountability Office.
And you're tasked often with looking over data, verifying information, and then bringing your findings to Congress so that we can try and present some legislative solutions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did your organization submit a report to Congress that said that the Pentagon won't be able to pass an audit until 2028?
Yes.
Why is that? Why is it going to take, why is it going to take another 4 years for the DOD to pass an audit?
I'm not familiar with the intimate findings of that report, but I know that we have reported a number of times that DOD doesn't have the controls and processes in place to be able to pass the audit. And I'm assuming that those findings are focused on what DOD's action plan is for passing that financial audit, given that DOD financial management is on our high-risk list. And so I would assume that those findings are based upon what we've seen in that action plan.
Do you know when the last time the DOD passed an audit was? Why are you laughing, Mr. Schwartz?
They haven't.
They haven't, right?
As a department, they have not.
Right. Since they were required to in 1990, they've never passed one. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's just interesting that we sit here and talk about this because this is a bipartisan problem. This isn't Republicans or Democrats. This is Republicans and Democrats. Let me pose it this way. Why would the DOD pass an audit or even try and pass an audit if we continue to fund them at the same levels or increase levels over and over again?
I think that's a very good question. What is the incentive if there's no consequence of not passing the audit?
Absolutely. That's the only language that people and organizations up here in D.C. understand, which is why I opened with what I told you about my background and my concern, but yet several times I voted against the NDAA and other authorization and appropriations for the Department of Defense because of my concern, not only for our national debt, right, and the deficits that we're running, but because of the Department of Defense's unwillingness to be fiscally responsible or accountable to the American people whatsoever. As a matter of fact, a couple months ago, I went over to the Pentagon and I was talking to Secretary Hegseth with other conservatives, and this was one of the things I brought up. I said, hey, sir, I understand you guys have been tasked with a lot of important things. You know, I'm a supporter of yours. I'm a supporter of a strong military. I've seen a lot of reporting from DOJ and some of the other agencies that they've taken a look at. When are we going to see, you know, some fraud, waste, and abuse reporting at the Department of Defense? He did tell me that, Eli, those guys are right down the hallway, and if you'd like to go talk to them, you're more than welcome to, and you will be seeing something come out of there. I just want it to be said that it is a concern, even for many Republicans, that, hey, the Department of Defense needs to get its fiscal house in order. And I'm glad that one of my colleagues pointed out that the Marine Corps is actually doing this. I think it's great, and I'm not surprised that it's the Marine Corps that's, you know, leading by example. But I hope to see the other branches and leadership at the Pentagon and the Department of Defense start to get its fiscal house in order. And I am a bit concerned about your report, ma'am, that says that it's going to take another 4 years for us to get a clean audit at the Department of Defense. And I wasn't exactly sure that your answer covered the reason for your organization stating that.
I can take that for the record and get back to you as to
Does
the
anybody
reason.
else have anything to add on that? Why it's going to take another 4 years?
So I will add one of the challenges is the IT systems. And when they were bought and put in place, they weren't done in a way that thought about audit to begin with.
Okay. Thank you. I yield back.